this video, I'm going to show you how to submit a human services application. Now, you can find this application form that you're seeing on screen by going to our website, dlbc.utah.gov, and navigating to the Human Services Application and Renewals page. This form is used to submit an application to the Office of Licensing for a human services program. If you need to apply as a child care program or health facility, there are separate application forms you would need to use instead. Again, these other applications are located on our website, dlbc.utah.gov. After submitting this form, please allow up to 2 weeks for processing your application. After we've had the opportunity to review and process your application, you'll receive an email letting you know the status of it, as well as if we need to have any additional documents from you in order to complete the application process. Keep in mind that submitting an application does not guarantee approval for licensure or certification, and all of these things I've been stating are up here at the top as well. Now, just a couple of general things here about the application layout before I start showing you step by step how to fill this out. First, this application is made up of 12 different sections. These sections are identified by their headers. For example, the first section here is purpose, and then we have general information and so forth. And all fields are that are marked with an asterisk and the word required must be filled out. If these fields are not filled out and you try to submit your application, you will not be able to do so. So please make sure you fill out all of those fields. Now let's start with our first section here, which is purpose. So in this section, we're indicating why we're submitting an application. Is this a new program that you're opening, or are you changing the ownership of an existing program, changing the location of an existing one, or maybe you're changing the type of population you're serving? Let me explain this option just a little bit. So an addition of a new license category would also be used for an existing program. And this is, let's say that my program is currently licensed as a recovery residence, but I also want to add social detoxification to my license. So I would indicate that here that I want to add social detoxification. And when I get down to the license type section, I would need to make sure I select both what I'm currently licensed as, which I believe I said was recovery residence, and also what I would like to add to my license, which was social detoxification. Okay, now I'm not unselect these because for this tutorial, I'm actually going to show you a new application. So that's what I'll select here. In general information, this is where we're going to input that general info for my new program, such as the name of the program and contact info. So for the name of my program, I'm just going to use test program. I'm going to leave the website field blank. This is not a required field, but if you have a URL or domain for your business, you're welcome to put that in here. For facility email, I'm just going to put my information as well, but if you have a general company email or phone number, you can use that too. And for facility address, this is your physical address location. So I'm putting in just our office location here. And you'll see after I input all of those required boxes, the validate address button became green, meaning now I can use that. So when I click on it, it will show me the address that I entered and a suggested address, which is usually just a bit more accurate. So I'm going to use the suggested address and save. And mailing address can be different or the same as your physical address. So if it's different, you'll want to put that in here as well. But for this example, I'm just going to say it's the same as my physical address. The next section is personnel information. This is essentially contact info for your program. So who's the facility contact person and administrative contact. This can be the same person or it could be different. I'm going to put in my info as well as Jane Doe is my administrative contact person, but you would put in the appropriate info for your application. Our next section is Department of Health and Human Services contracts. So if your Human Services program has any contracts with the Department of Health and Human Services that apply, you'll want to select those here and input those contract numbers just so we can be aware of those. So for this application, I'm submitting for a new DSPD program. So I'm going to select Division of Services for People with Disabilities. And you would want to put in your real contract number. This is just a fake example, so I'm just putting in a test number there. And then license type. So this is where I'm going to indicate what type of license I'm applying for. Now, I mentioned already if you're adding an additional license, what to do about that. But something I want to point out is note that each license type has associated fees with it. We have another video that shows how to make payments, so I'm not really going to go into that here. I just want to note that let's say I select I want to be licensed as an adult daycare as well as an outdoor youth program. Now, if the licensing fee for both of these programs is $990, that means that I'm going to have to pay $1,980 in order to receive both of these license types. So again, you can find more information about required fees and how to make payments on our website, dlbc.utah.gov, and going to the Make a Payment page. But again, for this example, I'm applying as a new DSPD program. Specifically, I'm going to apply as a DSPD day support program. Now, on the Human Services Applications and Renewals page, there's more instructions there for DSPD programs. Please become familiar with those and follow those instructions. And what it says for a day support program is that you will need to select day treatment. So that's what I'm going to select here as my license type. And then it also says that for capacity, you will need to enter 1, 2, or 3 because this is for a certification. If it was 4 or more, I would have to be applying for a license. So since I'm just applying for a day support program certification, I'm going to select day treatment and I'll put my capacity as 3. Okay. All right, and then our next section, we're going to select which populations that our program is serving. For this example, I'm just going to select adult, but you can select more than one. Then you'll need to put in the ownership information. And there, you'll need to start with what type of ownership your program has, individual owner, partnership, limited liability company, et cetera, et cetera. Again, for this example, I'm just going to select individual owner and I'll put in my contact info indicating that I'm the owner, and I'll leave the address as the same address we're using for my program. And once again, I can validate that, use the suggested address. And under here, you will see it also asks, is this program owned or governed by an entity other than who's listed here in the information above? And if you select yes, you have the opportunity to put in the governing entity's info, but for this example, I'll select no. Now, the DACS screening agent. DACS stands for Direct Access Clearance System. This is the system used by the Office of Background Processing to process and maintain background clearances for human services programs. So in this section, you will need to indicate 2 screening agents who are going to be people who are trained on using DACS and will be the people who are maintaining background clearances for your program. So I'm going to, once again, just put in my information here real quick. And then also I'll put in Jane Doe as my secondary screening agent. Okay. And those training materials, so it gives a couple of notes down here. You can see those training materials on DACS can be found on our website, dlbc.utah.gov. Now, the next section is called Documents Requested. This is where I can upload other supplementary documents for my application. Depending on what type of license you're applying for, you'll need to upload different additional documents, for example, like a fire clearance or a business license for your program. And this section just allows me to attach those if I already have these documents to my application just for ease of access. So let's say that I need to submit a business license. I could just attach it here, upload it from my computer, and we're good to go. Um, I'm not actually uploading anything here, but keep in mind that the documents you upload will need to be in a PDF format. Please don't try to use any other format. And also that this section is optional. So you are not required to upload any of these documents or submit them at the same time as your application, but you will still need to submit some of these later potentially, and you will have up to 6 months after submitting your application to get all required documents to our office. Now, the last three sections of this application form are very similar. Conflict of interest is where you will need to claim if there's any conflict of interest. Here, where, like it explains, a situation where a person is in a position to derive personal benefit from actions or decisions made in their official capacity. If you select yes, it will ask you to explain specifically what that conflict of interest is. But for this example, I'm just going to leave this as all no. There are no conflicts. The attestation section is where you're attesting to the following bullet points that you see here. I will not read through these, but when you're completing your application, please make sure you thoroughly read this before checking this box, which attests that you have you agree to and understood those statements. And then the last section is where you're certifying you understand these two agreements as well. So again, I'm not going to read through these, but make sure you read through them thoroughly before checking the box to indicate that you did read those statements. Now that I've completed all required fields, the last step will to be click this submit button down here to submit my application. Just keep in mind that if you missed a required field or you did not fill them all out, when you click submit, it will take you back up to that field and let you know that you will need to fill out that. But hopefully when I click submit, we'll get this pop-up that says your application was submitted successfully, and I can click OK. And that's the process. If you have any questions or need additional help with this process, please reach out to a representative at DLBC. You can reach us at 801-538-4242 or dlbc@utah.gov.